Council meeting of July 5th, 2016 order. We do have a quorum. All individuals are asked to either silence or turn off cell phones, pages, or other electronic devices that may disrupt the meeting. Let's please stand and pledge to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approve the agenda as posted in accordance with open meeting law. Here on place all agenda items on the table for discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gushik, second by Mayor Zilka for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes. Approve a copy of the minutes for the special work session meeting of July 20th, 2016, and the regular meeting of July 20th, 2016, and the closed meeting of July 20th, 2016 are enclosed. What's the wish of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
We got a motion by Alderman Hercock, second by Councilman Lothian to approve minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the bills. Approved checks 94377 through 94471 totaling $501,790.27. Mr. Gushik?
Turn to page 6. That's initial totals. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Pam. Page 11. Page 12. With the totals. I'll make a motion to approve those checks you mentioned, totaling $501,790.27.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gushik, second by Councilman Hanson to approve the bills. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Awards, donations, presentations, proclamations, we have none. Consent agenda, 2015 audit received. Application to conduct excluded bingo, American Legion Auxiliary, Morrison County Fairgrounds, August 11th through the 14th, 2016 approved. Building Department report, May 2016 received. Contract for services, School Resource Officer, year 2016-2017 authorized. Housing and Redevelopment Authority minutes, June 2016 received. Liability insurance waiver, League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust, denied. Parks, Recs, and Tree Board minutes, June 2016 received. Planning Commission minute, June 2016 received. Recycling reports, January through May 2016 received. Reviewed financial statement, December 31st, 2015. Little Falls Fire Relief Association received. Show permit, Labor J Park, Little Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau, July 23rd, 2016 approved. Temporary sidewalk closing, sidewalk display for promotion permit, Bon Joe's, July 28th through the 30th, 2016 received. What's the wish of the council on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gushik, second by Mayor Zilka to approve the consent agenda. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Public hearings and lettings, chassis and apparatus, fire department, award. John, you wanted to?
Yeah, as
Touch
we,
on that?
as the chief presented in the work session, he's got two prices on both the chassis for the new tanker truck and then the equipment that the new tanker truck would be. His recommendation is to award for tanker truck from Frederick's Auto Sale and Truck Sales price for $49,800. It is a rebuild, used 2009 model over the other quote from Maney International out of St. Cloud for a newer vehicle, which would be $80,727. So for the truck, it would be the used one at $49,800. For the equipment, he's recommending going with the higher proposed price out of Hyman Fire Equipment out of Ashton, Iowa. It has some better features on it. It's a square box versus the oval box, so it fits better on the mounts better to the chassis. And also comes with some pre-installed emergency lighting, which could add additional cost to the other quote. So it is a higher expense, but he's recommending awarding the $73,830 to Hyman Fire Equipment.
What's the wish of the council on the recommendation from the fire chief?
I'll make a motion to award.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Hanson, second by Alderman Hercog to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Nothing under old business, new business, parking lot proposed layout, block 42, original plat, consider, approve. Greg?
Yeah, what we talked about in the work session, we've got a layout in front of you here for the parking lot over by the Carnegie Library. And as you recall, this is in conjunction with Morrison County. There's really two options that we're looking at. The one that you have in front of you is actually option number 2, where it has 38 parking stalls as opposed to the 42 that we were talking about beforehand. Option number 2 has 10-foot wide parking stalls. They're a little bit wider than what our city code would require. City code really right now calls out for a 9-foot minimum parking stall. I did check some of the other parking lots in town as well as out of town just to see where they were at. Most of them are in the 10-foot range. There are a few of them that are in the 9-foot. Before in the work session, we asked, or somebody asked that, to look at what the courthouse by the DMV, what those parking stall widths are at, just as a comparison. Those are actually at 8.5 feet wide. So if you're comfortable with the parking stall width out here at City Hall, those are 10 feet. That's what I would recommend. It seems to alleviate a lot of the, some of the door dings, not all of them obviously, but some of the door dings. Just because it does leave a little bit wider space for the doors to open next to the adjacent vehicle. So I guess I'll open it up for discussion with the council as far as which direction we'd like to go with this. I wanted to get this discussion beforehand before we got bids, just so we'd have a solid price to give you at that point in time. Another thing to bring up. On the north side, we're proposing to have 10 spaces dedicated to the library. And originally, as you can see on the screen behind me, we were going to put in there 30-minute parking. I think we'll change that to library parking only, as opposed to a time limit. Some of the events, whether it's a book reading or a book signing or anything like that, is longer than 30 minutes or 60 minutes. So if we label it as parking lot, library parking only, that'll accommodate whichever type of use they have there for the library.
One other concern I got, Greg, is the no left turn coming out of there.
Yep.
Is there a particular reason we need that there?
We put that there because knowing on 3rd Street, if you try to get onto Highway 27, because the lights are over on 4th, if you try to take a left onto 3rd, it's pretty difficult to get that in there. Not to mention, if somebody turned left and there's a lot of vehicles backed up on the stop sign at 27 and 3rd, it's difficult for somebody then to come south and get into that parking lot if they were to go that road. So to try to get them away from the parking lot, we'd like to have them turn right and then either go over to the lights on 4th or take a left at 1st Avenue and go over to 1st Street.
Now it just seems backwards, kind of like Lemire Street to me. You direct them away from where they want to go. Your trunk highways, a quarter of a block. How many people are you going to have go right versus left?
True. You know, Lemire Street's a little bit unique in terms of the reason that they had to do it. MnDOT made us put that pork chop in there because
Right.
of the location of the on and off ramps.
They ain't making us do this though.
No, they're not. No.
We could have no left on 27 then.
Yes, well, we'd have to coordinate with MnDOT, but potentially, yeah. On the third, you're talking?
Right. So they can't come out of the parking lot, but they can come up the street, so they go to the end, make the U-turn and come back and go the other way. That one seems kind of pointless to me.
Especially since it's not that far from the existing library parking on that exit. I like Mr. Hampler's recommendation for a 10-foot. I think just makes it easier to get in there. It's a little bit tighter of an area here. And I looked at your proposed rain garden that's going to go off on the west side.
Right.
Okay. And that will be fenced off or something so kids won't fall in there, or is it just a natural?
It's a natural depression. We installed 2 rain gardens actually within the last couple of weeks here. One is over on 3rd Street, another one over by the Initiative Foundation. Those are probably a little bit steeper in terms of the slope coming down. We can flatten them so it's not as abrupt. But normally the slopes coming down is a 3-to-1, so every 3 feet horizontally, you go 1 feet vertically. And that's typically what you'll have for a rain garden. We can flatten them so that it's not as steep because it is in an area where there's a lot of children in there. But it would not be fenced off.
And the material used at Initiative Foundation was mulch, wood pulp,
Correct.
wood fibers. So I mean that would certainly be a safer material if they were to walk in there rather than
Rocks
a larger rock.
And that's typical for rain gardens is the shredded mulch, yes.
You know, there was a discussion about removal of trees. I hate to see the trees go, but I think you look at the age of them and what damage they would do to a parking lot. Plus, it looks like you lose about at least 7, 8 stalls.
Yes. Yep.
So, them trees, they're older trees, they're not gonna last forever.
Right.
There's one elm in there, I don't know if it's been treated for Dutch elm or you're treating it, but eventually it's gonna catch up with it.
Correct.
You know, Greg, another thing on the signage, on the exit onto 3rd Street, that sign should not necessarily just be a no left turn sign. It should say Broadway Highway 27 with an arrow to the right.
Okay.
Then you come to the corner and that same sign should be there with an arrow to the right. And when you come over to 4th Street, that same sign should be there directing you back to the stoplight on Highway 27. The case in point is come out of the McDonald's parking lot. You see a little sign about a foot square that says Highway 27 with an arrow to the right. That directs you into the vast wasteland south of Little Falls because it doesn't retrieve you at all. There is no sign down there directing you over to the 18th Street and then directing you over back south, north to the stoplight. And I was visiting with someone not very long ago who made the statement that they had come through Little Falls, they had stopped for lunch, and they will never again stop in Little Falls because they got caught in that traffic snarl of not knowing which way to go coming around there, and especially with people towing a boat coming around that corner there on 18th Street is extraordinarily difficult. So a little signage would help that problem. And in this case, by putting 3 of those signs, you direct people around. And assuming that people are going to figure that out is kind of a fond wish, but I don't think it will ever hurt.
I don't know how many people from out of town we're gonna have using it. We use the library or the courthouse.
Simple enough, eliminate the one sign, you don't need any of them.
Well, and I tend to agree with Jeremy, because I think if we put that no left turn sign on that corner, that's gonna either drive them back that way
It's gonna drive them
without
into,
that sign. They're either gonna have to take a right or they're gonna have to backtrack.
and we're just driving them through a residential area instead of out back onto the main.
Like you said, they're gonna avoid the circle route to get like up by McDonald's and just do a U-turn like everybody else does.
What's gonna happen, they're gonna come out there and go left anyhow, and then it's just gonna be,
I don't know, I know you gotta coordinate with NDOT, but I kinda like the idea of not being able to take a left to head east on
For
27.
anybody coming down that road, whether it's from the library or from further down, to me, that's just, it's a dangerous one. Especially for increasing people walking through there.
Looks like we're gonna think a little bit more.
So is the consensus to remove the left turn sign from the exit there and go with 10-foot parking stalls?
If
That would
we
be
can get
fine.
that left turn sign from MinDOT.
I mean, that's,
Yeah,
I can work
otherwise,
with that.
I'd say go with that if we can't get that from MinDOT on that corner.
Okay.
That's just my 2 cents.
And I think the 10 foot's the way to go.
I agree.
Everyone else seems to agree. Mr. Burkhart, do you agree?
I like the 10-foot better.
Good.
Keep parking places.
what is your thought, Chief? You're running the town and your guys are around.
I agree with the second option, where all left turns on the 27 are restricted with the increased foot traffic. The courthouse and any other pedestrians through there, if kids going through there for the library, traffic gets heavy in that area, especially in the afternoons. I think that's the best option as well.
So what are our options, or what is our likelihood of that, Greg?
I think MinDOT would be receptive to that, to the no left turn sign.
On 27?
Correct. Yep.
We have quite a few big block crashes there. So I think it's a good option.
And there was some discussion, Greg, I know you talked with Deb Gruber regarding the parking spaces on the south side of the road in front of the courthouse. The fact that they almost come right up to the crosswalk. So how do we go about potentially eliminating some of those? Is that MinDOT, is that?
I'll work with MinDOT on those as well.
I met with Deb and Greg as well, and we're all consensus on moving those restrictions back, increasing the arc visibility, putting, I don't know if we're talking about signage or not, but repainting some crosswalks through there, just trying to bring it more visible, just a safer area. So-
Because that's a handicap ramp up that sidewalk there also.
Yep. On both sides.
Right.
You know, another thing, Greg, is that the exit to the lot could be flared only to the north.
But if we're allowing left turn out of there, we wouldn't want to flare it. Right now, we've got no left turn on the 27, we're allowing a right turn on the 27. So if, let's say somebody's gonna be parking in here and they're gonna go to Long Prairie, they'd be able to take a left out of the parking lot and then a right onto 27 through there. They would not be allowed to take a left to go to Piers on this one right now, but they would be able to take a right to go west of town.
But by flaring it to the right, you know, here you got it flared both ways. When you flare it to the right and eliminate that, that's a rather obvious thing that if you drive over a curb, chances are you'll realize you did something wrong.
True. We've seen pros and cons of that at Lemire Street, as an example. They've gone around them, I've seen before, to try to take a left and go west. Right now, what the discussion is, we'll remove the no left sign at the exit and add a no left sign at the 27 and 3rd Street intersection.
Coordinating with MinDOT and then improving the visibility of the crosswalk with repainting and working with removing that parking on the south side of 27 on the north side of the courthouse. So we'll hopefully gain some visibility to help improve pedestrian safety and alleviate that left-hand turn onto 27 from 3rd Street that could get people backed up. But we would allow them to go make a right-hand turn on them to go westbound down 27 Broadway.
So is anyone ready to make a recommendation? A motion?
Yes.
So moved.
Motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Helmut Hertog, second by
With 10-foot
Stone.
spaces.
Councilman Knopfler. 10-foot spaces, no left on 27.
Well, that way after
Already
working
made,
right out.
So we get the-
Approved. Yeah.
Construction on the lot underway.
Correct.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Planning Commission recommendation, conditional use permit, Sharon Rich Hogan, accept.
The planning commission met on the 27th to hear a conditional use permit request from Ms. Hogan here, and she's actually here tonight if you'd like to hear from her. Behind me, I've got kind of an aerial view of the parcel. She's requesting to add an additional 24 by 30 detached garage. Currently, there's about 912 square feet of accessory structures on there, which includes one detached garage right next to the house, and then there's another one in the back here. This is an old picture that has some enclosed trailers. Those are no longer there. But the request is to increase the accessory structure allowance from 1,400 up to the 1,632. The property owner does have over half an acre in size of property, so it's a pretty substantial lot. The Planning Commission is recommending approval of that this evening based on the increased size of lot. Normally, in an R3, the minimum size lot requirements is 9,000 square feet. And so, obviously, she's well within that, and I believe it was 2.75 times the lot size is what she owns. And then looking at the accessory structure, she's only requesting basically 20% more than the 1,400 to go over. So if you look at comparing those two lot sizes and the accessory structures, she's well within that area. And so tonight we are recommending that the council approve the conditional use permit for Ms. Hogan to increase the accessory structures from 1,400 up to the 1,632.
What's the wish of the council?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Got a motion by Councilman Gushik, second by Councilman Lozerian for approval. Any discussion? Anyone have any questions for Ms. Hogan?
You can never have enough garage.
Well, it's like he was saying, I mean, here's 22,000 square feet or more there, and the average lot in R3 is 9,000, and this is well above double. A lot of place for water to soak in, and it doesn't make sense to have a real small garage and have that whole yard just there. When the use you can use it for is what, raise a road.
Can't do that in town?
Can't do that, no, so.
Or chickens.
Or chickens.
It's kind of my thought at the planning commission too, we might have to relook at this with the annexation of Belle Prairie with all the R1C, the big lots, people are gonna be coming in and wanting to put up, more than a 24 by 32 or whatever it comes out to be garage, and, something might have to look at a percentage of the lot versus just maximizing everybody, you got a 60 by 140 or 150 lot in town, you can have 1,400 square feet, but you got acre and a half and you can't do nothing but 1,400 square feet, so.
So we're not increasing the height restriction?
Not the height restriction, no, just the square footage.
Just the square footage.
Any other discussion?
What is the height restriction, 18 feet?
I think it's 18 feet or
Or the
point of your house.
Yeah.
So if your primary structure is 14 feet and your garage is 14 feet or supposed to be.
If your house is 24 feet,
18 feet.
max, okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. It's
Thank you.
14.9. The
Okay,
peak.
14.9 good feet. Resignation of Kevin Garrett, the wastewater operator. Accept, Greg?
Regretfully, I'm going to ask the council to accept the resignation of Kevin Garrett as a wastewater operator. Kevin's been with us for quite some time. I think it's been about 5 years now. And he's accepted a job closer to home. So tonight, I would ask the council to approve his resignation effective July 8th. July 8th.
So it's gonna put a burden on the wastewater?
No, I spoke with Lee just to make sure that they'd be able to work with 4 operators in the interim until we get that position figured out, and they will be able to make that work in the interim.
What's the wish of the council?
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Councilman Hanson, second by Councilman Knopfler to approve the resignation. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution 2016-36, appoint election administrator. John?
Yep, this is to appoint our city clerk, Wendy Zoka, as our election administrator. If an alternate is needed, it would be for the finance officer to fill that position.
What's the wish of the council on resolution 2016-36?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gushik, second by Councilman Hanson to approve resolution 2016-36. Discussion?
Mr. President,
Yep.
I will be abstaining.
Thank you. Any other? Resolution, call a roll.
William,
Yes.
Hurkak,
Yes.
Liljegren,
Yes.
Zilka,
Abstain.
Antler,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Gushik,
Yes.
Knopfler.
Yes.
Carries.
Resolution 2016-37, appoint election judges. Adopt. John?
Again, the list should be included in your packet. Wendy has worked very hard to acquire some election judges to serve for this upcoming election, presidential year, so it will be a bigger election for sure. So.
What's the wish of the council on resolution 2016-37?
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Knopfler, second by Hurkak.
Yep.
To approve resolution 2016-37. Any discussion?
Mr. President, I will be abstaining. Again.
As will I. Resolution, call a roll.
Hurkak,
Yes.
Liljegren,
Yes.
Zilka,
Abstain.
Antler,
Abstain.
Hanson,
Yes.
Gushik,
Yes.
Knopfler,
Yes.
Boyan.
Yes.
Carries.
Resolution 2016-38, approve pay grade, position, and point ranges and establish 2016 non-union, part-time, seasonal, and temporary employee step structures. Lori?
As you know, minimum wage will be going up again in August 1st of this year, so we have rearranged the salary schedule for the part-time, seasonal, temporary employees, boosting the minimum pay grade to $9.50 an hour. And then we also would propose then to adjust the salary, keep all the employees in their same steps and pay grades, but then they will get an increase in pay based on this new structure, pay structure.
What is the wish of the council?
I'll make a resolution to adopt, make a motion to adopt resolution 2016-38.
Got a motion by Councilman Hanson, second by Councilman Liljegren to approve resolution 2016-38. Discussion?
Yes, I would like to see a longevity increment. I think that someone that comes back after 20 years is of greater value in that same position than someone who's only been there for a few years. And I think we should be rewarding loyalty, longevity, leadership, and skill levels developed by doing the job over a period of time. How do we go about that?
Well, we do have, there are 8 steps included in this. Most of the people that we have over the summer months are high school kids, college kids. The most we typically have them is maybe 3 or 4 years.
So that, in this case, would not necessarily be a necessary item.
Correct. We do have 1 or 2 people out at the golf course that have been there for some period of time. But again, if we go to a longer step schedule and we have to pay them and report them under pay equity, the pay equity will be off and we could then be found not in compliance with pay
Yeah,
equity.
but I guess I'd be thinking like maybe after 5 additional years, they'd get so much. In another 5 years, get so much.
Right,
So
that
it
still
wouldn't necessarily be a-
can have an issue with pay equity depending on how it's built
It
in.
wouldn't necessarily be a graduated step as such.
Mhm.
It's just that I feel that, as you say, in this case, college students are not going to be here for 20 years.
Mhm.
Unless they were like some of the students I But it's a case where, looking at this for a permanent setting, it's nice to reward
Just
longevity if it's appropriate.
Good thing I wasn't one of his students.
No position in this pay step schedule is a full-time position. These are only part-time, seasonal, temporary employees. Typically this is golf course employees and summer parks staff. There are different pay grades, so one example is we do have a longer tenured cook at the golf course, and she's been there for quite some time. She's actually moved up pretty far in this. So, but she's at a higher grade, so I mean she's already getting compensated much beyond that minimum. So.
And I will add that each step is a year, so they come back the second year, they'd be in step 2, if they're in the same position.
So hopefully somebody in that role, if they are coming back in that grade 1, we're going to find that they're more advantageous as a different type of employee at a higher grade. We should always modify that as needed.
So if I'm reading this right, John, the pay grade 3 is the cook's pay grade?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Because I just know that there is quite the challenge to hire cooks. And I hear that throughout the community, all businesses and quarters and everything.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, resolution call roll.
Liljegren,
Yes.
Zilka,
Yes.
Antler,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Bushik,
Yes.
Knopfler,
Yes.
Goyam,
Yes.
Hurkak,
Yes.
Mr. Hanson, Councilmember Hanson, would you like to abstain from that vote?
I don't benefit directly financially. If you want me to abstain, I can abstain.
Is that all right?
I'll abstain.
Resolution 2016-39, acquisition of property, Little Falls Assembly of God Church. Right?
The property that we're discussing tonight is directly east of Ryan Street. There's a circle of street over there. This is directly east. Currently, the property owner is the Assembly of God. They are looking at selling the property. To give you an idea, this is the old 371 bypass, and currently the new park, the Twitchell Playground, sits over here just off of Prairie Drive. Ryan Street is just to the west, you can see here. And so we'd be looking at purchasing this parcel here. To give you some of the background information on it, it's roughly 13.89 acres. It's adjacent to the park. There is a 20-foot stretch right in through here, a 20-foot wide strip of property that we'd also be purchasing that would connect up to Ryan Street. That connection would be used for utilities. If we ever decided to loop the water main, we'd be looking at connecting in through there. The seller did request that we put a 50-foot buffer on the west side of the property. The purchase price that we'd be looking at is $108,000. So $78,247 would be in cash. The remainder in that would be in assessments that would be waived. So that's $29,753. So tonight, with this resolution, we'd be looking at purchasing that property from the Assembly of God Church.
What's the wish of the council? A motion for some discussion?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Got a motion by Councilman Gushek, second by Mayor Zilka, to approve resolution 2016-39. Discussion?
The buffer.
Yep.
What's
Yeah.
the reason for that?
There was some discussion with the Assembly of God and the neighbors to the west. There was some concern that whatever activity would be in this location, that they would like to see a buffer in through that area. And so, depending on, well, I mean, we don't have any specific use for that area right now. I would think whatever we decide to do there, that a buffer of some sort would be nice to have in that location. And so that's kind of where where the buffer came up.
Well, the buffer, I think, would be the neighbors wouldn't want to lose the view of the trees.
True.
But it doesn't state that that buffer will be those trees.
True.
It could be any kind of buffer.
It could be any kind of buffer. That is correct, yes.
Well, most of along that border between the parcels, the homeowners to the west do have a very good vegetative tree buffer there on their own properties. Now, if you do, we were looking at this in terms of what 50 feet would mean, even if it was stated as saving trees, that the way the property angles, not a lot of the trees are within that 50-foot buffer anyways. So you can kind of see that row there is on the property owner, the residential property owner's properties.
So what's the length of that property? We gotta be losing 2 acres.
50 foot, we measured it was 3/4 of an acre.
Yeah.
In order to meet the setbacks, there's a setback from that property line 10 feet. If you were to put up a structure,
I don't know the setbacks right off the top of my head. I have to look those up.
see, we have to have that anyway, so we wouldn't be losing, like you say, 3/4 of an acre, it'll be less.
True.
So that buffer just means we wouldn't have a building past that 50 feet?
Well, the buffer can be within, if we decide to put a building, we can have vegetation within that area. As we can have vegetation within any sort of setback. So the ideal would be some sort of screening, which would be vegetation, but if we put a building up in through there, which again, we're not sure what the use of this land will be, 50 feet from a residential area seems realistic.
Yeah, but it could be a parking lot, even. It has to be,
Some sort of a buffer, so if it's grassed or if it's, something in between there that's not built up. Rain garden, stormwater, yes, any of that stuff.
Well, it's a request, not a condition of selling it to us.
I just think 50 is pretty excessive, because it does limit the use of the property.
Well, who sells land with conditions? Or a suggestion, not a condition, whatever you want to term it, but I want to sell this and I want this amount of money, and oh, by the way, I want this too.
And if we were to put up a building, it's our customary practice to put up some kind of buffer.
True. And if you look at all of the buildings that we have around town, they're not right at the property line. There's green space in between.
I would think they want 25 feet of trees rather than 50-foot buffer, because if we take them all down, so they're gonna have their line of trees, but buffer, small trees and
Recently been
green
happening,
grass.
all the trees were removed and all of a sudden, wait a minute, we can see a junkyard.
What's a normal setback on the street in that area?
I don't know off the top of my head what the setback requirements are for the zoning here.
So is this a deed restriction on it? Is that what they want, or is this what they would like to see, a
Right now,
dream, or what?
Right now, it's their wishes, it's not a deed restriction on there. You know, so it's their wishes at this point.
So does that mean if they're not gonna accept our offer then if they go along with that?
I don't know the answer. We can go back and propose something less if that's what we want.
Well, I think we should propose the regular setback.
The problem that we have here is that our number is out there already.
But, yeah,
Yeah, it's a little hard to purchase something and then say that we'll never use it. 50-foot buffer is a nice idea.
It doesn't mean we won't use it. It just means that we won't have anything built in that area. So we can have like a stormwater pond, we can have a rain garden, that type of stuff in that buffer area. It just means you're not gonna have any buildings, parking lots in through that area.
which, when you look at that, we had that little strip coming in from Ryan Street, which possibly could turn into a potential parking lot in the future, because that could be an access.
One of the requirements that they did have on the sale of that property is that 20-foot strip would be used for utility purposes. So not necessarily an access into that was one of the things that the neighbors to the west were pretty vocal to the church regarding. Now, granted, the church is the one that's selling it and not the neighbors, but the church agreed with them.
So that's another stipulation.
It is a stipulation, yeah, that 20-foot strip would be used for utility purposes only. In all honesty, a 20-foot wide strip is wide enough for a driveway to, say, a single-family home, but it's not wide enough to have two-way traffic. Typically, a lane is 12 feet. You can't get two 12-foot lanes in a 20-foot strip of land. So that, I don't think, is that big of an issue. You know, I would want to have that strip to loop the water main and loop our utilities in through there. But realistically, I don't see that being an access point to the property just because of how narrow it is.
That'd be no different than an alley.
True. And you're not going to be able to pass somebody in
In an alley.
and out.
Could be a service entrance or something, like,
Maybe a fire lane of some sort.
yeah.
You know, realistically, if you were to do something in through there, you probably have some other sort of means to get down to the Ryan Street's not really a well-traveled or main street that you necessarily want to have access off of. To me, I didn't see that as that big of an issue.
Overall, it's 13 and about an eighth acre, including that little strip, is that part of it?
13.89 is roughly what that 20-foot strip of land plus the parcel that they're selling here. I'm not sure, Beacon's goofy tonight, I'm not sure what all the numbers on here represent. It just showed up tonight, so I don't know what those are for.
So once you take into account losing that strip, which we're purchasing, and basically we're purchasing 13 acres, we're losing an acre. About that.
You're purchasing about 13.89, and then roughly 3/4 of that would be that buffer area to the west.
Tony, what is your thought on that with the buffer type of deal? Is that something that would be in a deed restriction, or if we,
It depends, it's not at all unusual that that's common in real estate transactions. If you just agree to it through the purchase, that you won't do that, it's not a deed restriction, so to
Right.
speak, you're bound by it. But if you sell it to a third party 5 years later, they aren't bound by it then. If you put it in as a deed restriction, that deed restriction is going to run with the land, and then it's going to stay there. So it's just a matter of whether you think the 50 feet is excessive, then you go back to them and say, we weren't going to do the 50 feet. And if they say, okay, go jump in the lake, we're not selling it, then you're back to the negotiating table, or the deal is gone.
Or we
But-
take the 50 feet.
Or you take the 50 feet. So it certainly wouldn't, necessarily be unreasonable to go back and say, look, we're just not going to agree to 50 feet, we'll agree to whatever, 20 feet, 30 feet, whatever you think is appropriate, but it's not unusual at all.
So Greg, you said the owners have, what did you say, 10-foot buffer of trees on their property lines right now?
Let me look here quick. And granted, this isn't 100% accurate just because
What's the underlying zoning for it on that?
Beacon's off tonight. I can't get it for whatever reason on here. It looks like it's right on the property line right now. So basically the trunk of those trees are on the property line. So they don't necessarily have a buffer in their backyard for those parcels to the west.
So those trees would be in the property that we're buying, owners have nothing back there, those trees are not theirs.
I would say it's right on the property line. So without a survey, I can't tell you if it's on theirs or on this parcel. But you can see it's a pretty good stand of trees. Looks like about 2 rows thick, north and south on that west lot line.
Right, yeah.
What's the exact width of that?
This here,
The
The
whole
tree
property?
ground.
Yeah,
right through there. And keep in mind, it's on a skew because of the old 371 bypass there, but it's about 415 feet.
See, that's the part I'm having a little problem here. If you were to put some baseball diamonds in there or something, this could restrict some way, unless if you incorporate it with the arc, could restrict because you're going to need 400 feet, for a ball diamond because you just don't stop them right at the end. 350 feet, 325 feet is baseball size for high school and stuff. So you're restricting that, but if you pull that 50 feet out of there, you can't do that, then you can't have a baseball diamond in there. So
Right, the
it's
buffer could be the outfield.
Well, there's
There's nothing built in it, it's an
I
outfield.
don't know, most baseball diamonds don't face in that direction in the evening because you're looking straight west and they try to keep the sun out of the batter's eyes. They do take things like that into consideration, so you're not going to be putting a diamond starting from the east going west. Generally, because most of the ball games are played toward the evening.
Like the 3 on the west side are?
Well, they're not straight west, but they should have been turned.
the same way.
It should have been
Back and
turned.
face the west.
They don't face true west.
Well, enough for the sun is in your eyes.
We're talking batters here, they're not straight into they shouldn't be anyway.
If we were to put a baseball diamond in over there, I would suggest having a buffer in through there because if somebody does hit a home run, you don't want it to necessarily go into the neighbor's yard if they've got a shed on the back fence, they're hitting that.
And even if that's the home plate for baseball, you're gonna want
foul ball.
You're gonna want foul ball protection too,
Yeah.
Especially since the houses are already existing.
We should end that up.
Yeah, and
Trees won't stop.
I have a little bit of experience with the baseball field on your property, and that one's a lot farther than that house was a lot farther than 50 feet from home plate, and it still couldn't hit. So.
And look at it, we get a lot of free baseballs. I don't know, 50 feet's excessive. If you could go back and ask them politely, would you be adverse to 20 feet? But we'll make sure it's a nice buffer that, say there are no plans right now for parking lots and that, but, if there were to be a building, we would like to have a little extra room there.
Well, and is 20 going to be a reasonable buffer?
buffer do you have in the ballpark?
I got nothing.
Yeah, you're right there.
That's a
They hit a fall ball, it's supposed to hit your yard sometime.
Well, I get one in the house. But that's, yeah, fuel is our first, yeah. I invaded its privacy.
Get nailed in.
And who says we're putting ball fields there? It could be something completely different,
But
so.
you don't want to limit your possibilities.
Exactly, so if we're gonna give them 20 feet,
I'm happy with 20 feet. Try it anyway.
Let's just remind them that's a request, and we'll see what we
Right.
want to do with it, and then we'll decide.
you won't get a yes vote from me if it's more than 20 feet. I'll guarantee you that. Not
It is
even
be accepted
20 feet,
as-
1 inch.
Well, what's realistic to keep the row of trees at the east side of their property?
Right, that double line or,
To 20, 25, whatever the case may be. It doesn't need to be 50 and then keep right where that line is.
Keep the row trees there, you're right.
Is it?
Yeah, and could this be accepted as a request rather than a requirement?
Could be.
so do you need from us, motion to table for,
We should.
or approve with the 20-foot buffer? If they so accept, to move forward?
I'm thinking, John, probably table it. With the resolution, we'll have to get the language.
That was the buffer.
So just approve the purchase?
Purchase
And when I was reading it. So, did they bring the buffer part up?
They did, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because what we have to approve, we already moved on, doesn't include a buffer. Correct?
Not in the current resolution, correct?
Does it need to be?
Should be.
I think we could approve it with no buffer and do the gentleman handshake if they want to do it, and if not, it's not like we're gonna go over there and clear cut the property off tomorrow.
Anything in real estate to be valid has to be in writing, so ultimately, if you want the buffer in there, for sure, you should vote no, on this resolution, and then if somebody wants to bring another motion that you're accepting contingent upon, approval of the buffer, do it that way, but the motion you have pending right now is approve the resolution as is without,
Without a buffer.
yeah, and so
Take it
I
back to them that way.
recommend you approve that then if you want a buffer.
So if we approve this resolution with no buffer and go back to them with
Then
our offer, and
they don't like it,
if they don't like it, then.
come back and we can do it again if we need to.
No, because they're saying it's contingent upon.
So we have a motion to approve
Send a purchase agreement.
Purchase.
the purchase agreement at 108 with no buffer.
That's,
Just
that's what's stated here.
Right.
I think what Tony is saying, if somebody wanted to have another motion tonight that said with a 20-foot buffer, and everybody was okay with that, and that would have approved them, to go back to them, no?
I would rather just approve this and not have our hands tied.
Exactly.
Okay.
They got setbacks for a reason.
So at this point, I mean, I think it would make sense to vote against the resolution, and then if you want, I don't know if we need, if you, at this point, then you don't need to table anything then. Just vote against it, and then you can go back to the bargaining table and see if they're willing to come back and agree with that.
So what would be the negative if we approve this with no buffer and that's what we want to do, and then if they don't accept it, to approve a different resolution?
Well, yeah.
So we approve this if they want to accept it at 108 with no buffer, and we keep our 10-foot rear yard or whatever side yard setbacks,
Yeah, he
and do it that way. And like we discussed in our closed session, I guess we didn't discuss a buffer in there, and anybody, you know, that's something they came back with.
That was something they came
We'll
back
approve our
with.
offer when we did, and if they ain't putting it in there as a deed restriction, or they, just That seems weird to me, but
I don't like this buffer idea because any property sold in Little Falls by even a private person who owns property, they're gonna put in a stipulation, you can't have a building within 50 feet from that line. That limits the person who's buying a property. It just ties their hands in what they're gonna build on that property. You know, most houses are well within 50 feet from a property line. I think, I agree with Brad, just go with it as stated and either accept the deal or not, and then if not, you renegotiate and tell them that maybe we consider a 20-foot buffer and
with a dollar decrease, you ain't gonna,
Maybe they
Why
want,
square footage?
maybe they want to survey it and keep 50 feet along that edge if that's important to them. But we don't need to buy it then.
we drop the price, and then we're willing to leave that 50 feet there.
well, we got a resolution on the table, 2016-39, to approve the purchase at the $108,000.
Does it include the buffer?
Nope.
Greg, now, when you had that discussion with them, and I understand what's on paper, when you had that discussion with them, do you think that they believed that there was going to be that buffer as part of the deal?
They wanted to see a buffer in there, yes. Yeah.
So they haven't seen the resolution?
They have not. No, we had the resolution pulled together basically the day of or the same day that we were getting everything pulled together with the agreement.
Well, I don't want it to look like we're trying to pull something on them, so the only way to vote in favor of this is if we're going to, when you present it to them, say there is absolutely no buffer in here, so.
My inclination, based on the discussions I've had, is that if there's no buffer, they likely will not accept it. They would likely accept something less than a 50-foot buffer. I don't know what that number is, but I would feel more comfortable going back to them with a number of a buffer than none at all. I think if we go back with none at all, they're not going to, I don't think they would accept that.
So it's in our best interest to probably table it, tell you
No.
more.
Can't table it.
And table, okay.
You have to vote it down.
It's either approve or not.
Okay.
Well, and then what about the utility access? If that's part of it, unless I missed it here, but is there anything addressed regarding that? The utility access versus ingress and egress access. Did I miss that, Greg, or not?
I thought it was in there. And a utility easement over across that part of section 26. So that part is already included in this.
Where are you looking, Greg?
Page 200, second part from the bottom, it says now there for, yep.
So understand, that's a utility easement. That means you don't get to have a driveway there.
Correct.
That's just utilities. So if you want to make sure that you're okay with that.
It refreshed my memory here, I can't remember. Is this full asking price?
No.
Okay, no.
Any other discussion? Resolution? Call and roll?
Zilka,
No.
Hensler,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Bushek,
Yes.
Knappala,
No.
Boyum, Hurkak,
Yes?
Liljegren.
Yes.
Carries.
Storm water improvement grant, rain gardens, consider.
The next item on the agenda is for additional rain gardens. If you recall, we did get a couple of rain gardens installed this year, one on 3rd Street, just south of City Hall over here. The other one is over at the Initiative Foundation. Those were put in the last couple of weeks. We would like the council's approval to move forward with an additional grant from the Board of Water and Soil Resources through both Morrison County Soil and Water as well as the Mississippi Headwaters Board. The grant will be for additional rain gardens, either in our 2017 projects, 2018, or 2019 projects. There is a 25% local match, but applications are due August 8th. The good thing about this is there's, getting in early, there's a 3-year window when we can use these funds. Currently, we have just 2 of them in. We'll be putting in a 3rd one with our the Carnegie Library parking lot there. I don't know just yet if we'll be doing them, if I'd like to do them with the 2017 project or wait until 2019. I want to see how a lot of these turn out in terms of the maintenance and coordination with the homeowners or the property owners for that. But I do think it's worth going after the grant funds up front, because we do have some time to purchase or to utilize those funds.
What's the wish of the council?
I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Gushik, second by Mayor Zilka for approval.
This is just to apply for the grant,
This
right?
is just to apply, that's correct, yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And we got any reports? Announcements?
I just wanted to mention that city code does require grass to be less than 6 inches long, so if your grass is long as that, please cut it. We have had a number of complaints and have had to go out and inspect that, so please make sure your grass is less than 6 inches.
The one I turned in has been taken care of, and
Good.
it's right on top of it, did a good job, so. That one's off your list.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Hearing none, 8:32, we'll adjourn.